Well, hey there. Welcome to the Kim Constable podcast. This is Kim Constable. Nobody cares. Work harder. What have I got for you this week? Oh, I have something really special and I think you're going to love it. Whenever I heard who my guest was this week, I got very excited because this is a subject that I am very passionate about, as you will hear during the interview. So my guest this week is the fabulous Sam Evans. So Sam is actually a former nurse. She has 3 kids and she has adapted her skills to help women going through everything from cancer to hysterectomies and the menopause to reclaim their sexuality. Samantha has such an interesting story. Like, she was a stay-at-home mom when she and her husband Paul started a sex toy business in 2007. Yes, you heard me correct, a sex toy business. They had actually been considering throwing Anne Summers style parties, but none of their friends, understandably, sounded too interested. And instead, they put her husband's IT skills to good use, and they started a website called Joe Divine, which basically has customers that range from 18 to well into their 80s. Now, Samantha is such an incredible guest because she has so much experience with gynecological issues, from thrush to cystitis to urinary tract infections, bacterial vaginosis. She experienced these herself, which she actually now believes were caused by irritating ingredients in sexual lubricants such as glycerine, alcohol, dyes, parabens, even glitter. Why anyone would want a glittery vagina is beyond me, but apparently some people do. So they started their own business selling lubricants and sex toys, and they really are opening up a conversation, Sam especially, about, you know, women's health and about how women need to stop associating sex toys with the porn industry or something which is dirty or taboo or shouldn't be talked about, and to really normalize vaginal health and sexual health and everything that comes with it. And because during menopause, so many women experience symptoms experience things which they're just not equipped to deal with because they've never dealt with it before, because their mothers never talked to them about these things, such as vaginal dryness or loss of libido or other more unpleasant things. I would suffer from urinary tract infections, from thrush, from hemorrhoids. All of these different things can happen whenever you are in early perimenopause, in perimenopause, or in full menopause. And we are on a mission, Sam and now me are on a mission to normalize these things and bring them to the world. And she and I have the most incredibly frank conversation about everything to do with your vagina and sex toys and lube and menopause and everything in between. And I know that you are just going to fucking love her as much as I did. So before we get into the episode, I do want to tell you that if you want to be in with the chance of winning a sculpted vegan program, including the 18-month Sculpt and Shred, then all you have to do is leave a review wherever you listen to this podcast. Send me a screenshot of the review. If you don't do this, you will not be in with a chance of winning, and we will pick at random. Well, actually, we don't pick at random. We go through all of the entries and we choose the best one that is the best written, that has the most witty or funny or poignant, story in it. And we choose a new winner every single month. And if you want to be in with a chance every single month of winning, then all you have to do is leave a review every single month. And we have had people who've left like 6 or 7 reviews and then they've finally won in month 8 because, we notice you whenever you leave lots of reviews because we read every single one. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping for you. I am not going to talk to you again at the end because Sam and I just say goodbye and I tell you where you can find out everything about Sam. So if you want to find out everything she talks about in this episode, just go to the show notes underneath wherever you're listening to this, or on the website sculptedvegan.com/podcast. Look for this episode and you will be able to you'll be able to find everything that Sam talks about. One other thing actually is Sam is offering all of my listeners who are in the UK only, unfortunately, sorry to everybody else in the rest of the world, but if you're in the UK, Sam is offering a 10% discount on everything that is available to purchase on her website. Her website is Joe Divine, Divine, joedivine.com. And again, it's linked in the show notes. You can get 10% off everything she talks about on her website. And she also has incredible articles, hundreds and hundreds of articles that you can go and read, which will help you with your sexual health in menopause. And even if you're not in menopause, you definitely definitely should listen to this episode, because we don't just talk about menopause, we talk about everything else in between. And it really was a very candid and very fun conversation. So thank you so much, Joe, for coming on. Sam, Joe, I'm talking with Joe Devine. Thank you, Sam, for coming on. So I'm going to let you listen to the episode. Won't talk to you again at the end, but I will speak to you next week for another episode of the Kim Constable podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to let you go and listen to Sam. Sam Evans, do you like to go by Sam or Samantha? Sam, so nice to have you here. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for asking me.
I have to tell you a funny story. So I was actually just driving back, literally less than an hour ago. I train on a Tuesday and Thursday with my horses. So I have 4 horses, and I train with them down in my trainer's yard. And I was driving back in the lorry. And my groom was with me in the front seat. And I said to her, I said, I need to get back. I have a podcast interview at 5. And she said, who are you interviewing? And I said, it's a great woman. I said, but actually, do you know what? I said, I haven't read through all of the information that Susie collated for me. I said, but I know she's like, an expert in menopause and in women's, personal health and this kind of stuff. So I said, so could you read something? So I said, could you read through the document for me while I'm driving? And she was like, oh yeah, sure, no problem at all. And so my 12-year-old daughter's sitting in the middle, and we're very open in our house. And so Natasha's on the other side. So she opens the document and she starts reading, former Samantha and 2 sons, she's reading it to me. And then she's like, Samantha was a stay-at-home mum when she and Paul started the sex toy business in 2007. And she keeps reading and reading. And then she starts shaking. She was like, are you interviewing this woman? She sounds so much fun. And she was like, see if she can send us free samples. So I was like, I'm so looking forward to this, because I knew what you did, but it was just whenever we started reading through all of the information, it was just phenomenal. I thought we are going to have so much fun on this interview, because anyone who has a sex toy business is right up my alley, I have to tell you. So what I would love to do to start is, could you just tell my listeners just a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, anything that, that we might find interesting about you?
Okay, so I'm married to Paul and we run the business together. My background's nursing, and his background is banking and IT. So he's the brains behind the business. I'm just sort of the front of house and do all the writing. I never run a sex toy company before. We have 3 children. So we have a daughter who's 22, and our son is 20, and our youngest will be 18 actually in a few weeks, our youngest son. And so we decided, after a few drinks in a pub in Suffolk, to set up a sex toy company. All the best decisions are made, by the way. That's how all the best decisions are made. And actually, Paul carried on his job in, IT for about a year, while we were running the company. And I would wrap the sex toys every Sunday night in brown paper while watching Lark Rise to Candleford, a Sunday night programme. It was hilarious, with this great big roll of brown paper, and then pack them up as the orders came in and wheel them into Tunbridge Wells, where we live, is a town in Kent, in the Trolley of Love. People would say, I've seen you and Paul with your orange trolley. We'd go, yeah, it's the Trolley of Love. So basically it would be full of little sex toys. And we started out because we were exploring the industry. We'd never really had toys. We'd had a couple of toys of our own, and they had one had sort of broken after the second attempt, and the other one was made from jelly. So it had given me thrush, because I'll explain why you shouldn't be using jelly toys. So then we decided to set up Joe Devine, investigated what was out there. There were some luxury brands like Lalo and Fun Factory, and we found Organic Lubricants, because we had an idea that really need to be looking at the ingredients. And it kind of went from there.
That is such a good story.
So, I realised our customers were buying sex toys to help them overcome sexual health issues, menopause, cancer, hysterectomy, post-childbirth, or just wanted to buy sex toys for the first time. And so I started writing all the articles on the website. So there are hundreds of practical sexual health and pleasure articles on the website, from cancer to kink. We have a Joe Devine secret diary, because your sexual health and sexual pleasure go hand in hand. And when one's out of kilter, the other one's out of kilter. You cannot separate them. And this is really, really important. And also, we're passionate about skin-safe products and irritant-free sexual lubricants and vaginal moisturizers. Probably one of the few sex toy companies who is. And we've never, that makes us unique, and also the blog that we have. And also, most sex toy companies don't have a SAM, which makes a difference. So, in a nutshell, we do a lot of work within the NHS, working with healthcare professionals, with cancer charities, my day can go from helping an 80-year-old lady choose her first sex toy, ask me for advice on the phone, to a 32-year-old who's gone through breast cancer. So we can be asked so many different things. But the most important thing is that, sex is meant to be noisy, messy, embarrassing, consensual, pleasurable, and most of all fun. And I think we often lose sight of that. And certainly when people have a sexual health issue, be that vaginal dryness, or, they've been through surgery or cancer treatment, or they have a health issue, or they've been through trauma, it's helping people regain their sexual function, to reclaim their sex lives. And that's what it's all about.
Here, there are so many questions that there's so many routes I could go down here. And there's so many. So let me give you my take on it, I guess, first. And this is why I was so excited to have this, to have this interview with you. So I grew up in a family where sex was discussed openly, freely, very, like my grandparents, I remember my grandfather saying to me whenever I was about 15, I think, and I was saying to him, telling him about my new boyfriend. And he said to me, well, love, I hope you're keeping a tight grip of your knickers. And that was like the kind of conversations that would happen between my grandparents and my mom, and my dad's family as well were very open. And so like we used to discuss blowjobs at the dinner table. And whenever we got older, obviously, and my sisters and I, and so it was acceptable to talk about blowjobs at the dinner table. But so sex in my family has always been very openly discussed, not something that's taboo. We've always been very chilled. I'm very open with my children. And so it hasn't been an issue, but I have recognized through starting to run the menopause programs, and we have a Menopause Matters Facebook group. It's only $97 a year to join, but we bring in menopause experts and we discuss everything openly about menopause. And I think that, my mom's generation, my mom's in her late 60s. I'm in my early 40s, early to mid 40s, 43. And my mom's in her late 60s. And she says like during menopause, and even just sex, like she's discussed sex very openly with us, but it certainly wasn't something that was discussed around the dinner table. And so I think that definitely the narrative is changing, but certainly our generation, there's still sex is still something that is like, you don't really discuss, and it happens in the dark with the door closed, and I think that, so I guess my question to you is like, you're very normal mom of three, like watching Coronation Street and wrapping up your sex toys for delivery. Like, how do you find that the narrative is changing around women's view on sex and sex toys and their sexual health and taking charge of their own sexuality over the years? Is that something that you've seen?
It has changed. I would say that the demographic who are the toughest nuts to crack are the sort of 40 to 50-year-olds.
Right. And
they're the ones who really need to be focusing on their intimate health and their sexual pleasure and looking at the products they're actually using, because that's the time, that perimenopausal time, when things start to change. They might start having a bit of vaginal dryness, or might have had about thrush or a UTI or cystitis.
Or all three?
Yeah, all three. I mean, I'm somebody who suffered from that, was my past history, but
me too.
It's really, sometimes I find them quite difficult. And also healthcare professionals, not part of training, never part of my training. I knew nothing about menopause. I knew about night sweats and hot flushes because my mum had gone through menopause. But I don't have any of those symptoms. But I had itchy skin. Thought I was allergic to gin, but thank God it was just menopause. Achy joints, thought I had arthritis, the brain fog, palpitations, sort of was when I was exercising, you think, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. No, it's actually menopause. And, for me, those symptoms really caught me off guard. Right. Whereas I already had a knowledge about the intimate health things, because I'd had intimate health problems in my 20s and 30s, which has led me to be so passionate about vagina and vulval health, and basically constantly telling people, just think about what you're using, because it's really important. But
of course,
I think it's getting people to talk about. They're so embarrassed. You've got to remember, a lot of people haven't used sex toys before, and they still think about the rampant rabbit. Well, the world's moved on from that, thank God, right. 20 years ago. And sex toys are beautiful, beautifully designed. They don't even look like sex toys. They're made from skin-safe materials, the vast majority of them. And they're widely available. They're available in the high street. They're on beauty websites. They're recommended by celebrities. And, so they are available, and actually saying to people, these can really enhance your intimate health and your sex play, whether you're with a partner or not. Mm-hmm. So for me, I have noticed change, and it is getting better. but it's still, people come on the phone and I go, I'm really embarrassed. I'm going, yes, but you're fine, because 1,000 other people have been embarrassed before you. And by the end of it, they're having a bit of a giggle. They said, oh, it was so great. Thank you so much. You made me feel so comfortable. And, you know, they were absolutely petrified about buying a tube of lube or buying their sex toy. So, and actually you realise when you have this conversation, I've had friends shut me down because they don't want people to know what I do for a living. And that's particularly hard sort of with friends, you know, friendships, which have always been quite difficult since we started the business. Because I think people think you're going to ask them about their own sex life. And quite frankly, unless you've got a problem or if you want some help, I'm not bothered. I'm not interested.
Are you going to try and sell them a vibrator? You're like,
exactly.
Let me pull out my collection and see which one will fit.
And actually, I've been with people where somebody finds out what you do and they sidle over and they're desperate for some information. And then somebody will come over and sort of make a joke or actually make it very salacious. And that makes it even more embarrassing. And it's like, no, I talk about this in a fun and informative way and a professional way. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about, but you're actually making it embarrassing because you're using inappropriate terms, like you just mentioned, or just because they're so embarrassed. That the issue is with them. So often some of these people, they think, oh, they really probably do want some help, but they're too embarrassed to ask it. So I have changed. I mean, I have noticed, our oldest customers that we know about were a couple who were 95, enjoying a second honeymoon. One lady discovered our products in lockdown. She was 93. So, wonderful. You know, we've got a lot of older customers as well, which is amazing. And the conversations you have with those people as well, you know, they sort of usually say, talk about upbringing, and you might have been in a not a great relationship or marriage, or might have had a lovely marriage and their partner's died and they're missing them, they're experiencing sexual bereavement, they're buying a sex toy for the first time. You know, people who message us or email and go, had my first orgasm. That's great, you had your first orgasm at 60, but shame you had to wait that long. But
wow,
you know, it's lovely to hear that. But my view is I want to educate everybody. And I think we also have seen younger women know all about this stuff. Now, my daughter's a young sex education activist. She's 22, and she will tell you that they don't know anything about intimate health products. They're probably the ones using all the washes and things that are available on the high street. And, you know, they don't actually understand this stuff sometimes, and they don't understand about sex toy materials. And a lot of them maybe aren't using a sex toy. So, you know, it has changed. I mean, for me, it's trying to get healthcare professionals to recommend our toys. I mean, products are recommended in the NHS. We have a little brochure we created with our local hospital, and that gets given out by lots of healthcare professionals. Some even have the toys and they get them out in clinic, and, you know,
normalize it.
And opens up a conversation, and it actually makes those patients feel like, oh, well, they're talking about sex, so that's fine. Because so many people, you know, certainly when they've been through cancer treatment or menopause, if the doctor doesn't bring it up, they feel like they can't bring it up. Or the doctor will go, oh, vaginal dryness. And it's like,
yes. Yes. Whereas if it was an itchy, flaky scalp, you would say, oh, here, try this shampoo. But because it's my vagina, it's like I can't talk about it in public. But, you know, it's funny how, like, I am definitely on a mission, like you, to normalize menopause. And we are launching a menopause program. It's called the Menopause Shred, but it's only to help women shift belly fat. And I'm very, very big into educating women on why their body stores estrogen, why it wants to divert more fat to fat cells, because fat cells are actually a secondary source of estrogen for the body. So whenever you, so that's why your body wants to store more fat cells. So I'm very, very into that. But I guess what I would love to talk a little bit more to you about specifically is, you know, what are some of the problems that you see that women have in menopause, and how can you, or what advice could you give to help alleviate them, or to help, you know, to help them overcome vaginal dryness, for one, I'm sure is a problem.
Well, vaginal dryness, it is. I mean, basically, it is, you know, a real problem, and it can happen at any time. Obviously, vaginal dryness can happen at any age, because our natural lubrication is impacted upon by, you know, anxiety, stress, breastfeeding, you know, cancer treatments, sexual side effects to medication. I mean, you know, antihistamines, people don't realise they dry up mucosal secretions. Obviously, it's going to impact upon your vaginal lubrication.
I never thought about that, actually.
Yeah, so hay fever season, I often say to people, and I occasionally take a very strong antihistamine if my skin does get itchy, but it's much better now. And also antidepressants, you know, and obviously there are quite a lot of medications out there that can impact the oral contraceptive pill. I know when I used to take it, it definitely impacted upon my vagina, you know, the impact of my vagina. So, and what the first thing they do is they go to the high street or the chemist, and they'll grab a bottle or tube of lube off the shelf, and it's like, oh, well, that was one that's advertised on telly, or that one's a really well-known one, I'll use that. And then they'll use it, And actually, a lot of people do struggle to use sexual lubricant because they don't know how to use it. I've even written an article on how to use your sexual lubricant because, it might be self-explanatory to me, but a lot of people have no idea. Pop it on. Oh, it starts to sting. It starts to itch. Oh, the next day they're itching and they've got a bout of thrush and they have no idea. Or their partner, if they've got a male partner, they might have penile irritation. And actually, it's to do with ingredients. So that's the most important thing I say to people, that you need this intimate regime. Local estrogen can really help. That's transformed my intimate health. I use my local estrogen 3 times a week. But I also use Vaginal Moisturizer twice a week. Like, you might moisturize your face and your body. You should be moisturizing your
Tell
vagina.
us more. Okay, I'm totally down for some vaginal moisturizer.
So I'm not talking about your body moisturizer. I'm not talking about any old thing out of your bathroom cupboard or your kitchen cupboard or your hand cream or your body lotion. It has to be something that has been formulated to be used intimately. We only sell Yes Organic lubricants and Sutil Luxe. They are both organic, and they're made from organic and botanical ingredients. They don't contain the irritating ingredients that I'll mention that you should be avoiding. They're also vegan friendly, apart from the oil-based lube, which has got beeswax in it. So that's really good. And they are so good for your intimate health. So basically, you should be moisturizing your vagina a couple of times a week. You can use it internally. You can use we've got some lube tubes and you can fill it up and pop it in there. Or you can have little applicators like this and you just squeeze that up inside, and then what's left over, I sort of massage it onto my vulva. But this is really important. People go, what are you talking about? Well, your vagina and vulva ages like the rest of your body.
Of course, yes.
So, but don't put any old thing inside your vagina. It's the same with your sexual lubricants. Again, we've got the water-based, the Yes lubricants, and Sutil, which is a water-based lube, but it's fantastic. It's a water-based lube. It's long-lasting and can be used as a vaginal moisturizer. You need to think about the ingredients. If you care about what you eat and you put on your skin, you need to think about what you're putting in one of the most sensitive parts of your body. Your vulva and your vagina, your anus, and people with a penis as well. And the ingredients that you really should be avoiding are glycerin, glycols, parabens, dyes, glitter. Yeah,
Really,
perfume,
glitter?
Yeah, perfume and alcohol. So glycerin is a really common ingredient in lubricants. It's cheap. And it creates a sugary environment inside the vagina, and that actually can promote the growth of thrush.
Right.
So, and also it causes irritation. Propylene glycols, again, they are irritants. That's actually often the ingredients that will cause a stinging when you first put a lubricant on, be that, a vulva or vagina, or penis or anus. You'll find propylene glycol in antifreeze.
Wow.
Why we're putting it inside our vaginas. Then we have parabens. They are well-known preservatives, but they're also weak hormone disruptors and also irritants, so we should be avoiding them. And a lot of brands now are removing the glycerin, the parabens, but they've still got the glycols and they've still got alcohol in their products. Then you've got dyes, because some are pink, because you always need to have a pink vulva, and some are perfumed, and so you always need to smell like
roses. Yeah.
And then obviously alcohol. Obviously, if you put anything that's got alcohol in it on your skin, it makes your skin dry.
Dries you up.
So imagine if you do that with your vagina. And then glitter. You'll need a glittering disco vulva, don't we? I'm
horrified by the glitter. I truly am. It's like, make me sparkle. No.
I know, exactly. So, you need to become an ingredients detective. They're pretty much every product on the shelves in the high street contains at least one of these irritating ingredients. So I have to tell people, please check the ingredients, because it's really important. You're actually doing more harm than good. A lot of these products are ineffective. A lot of water-based lubricants also exacerbate vaginal dryness. They draw out the moisture from the walls of the vagina and exacerbate it. Very well-known lubricants do that, and also ones that we use in the NHS, but also really common water-based lubricants. And I said about the glycerin, that was my problem. When Paul and I first met, we were using lubricants. We met in my early 20s. And I kept getting recurrent infections, the thrush, bacterial vaginosis, the fishy smelling discharge, urinary tract infections, cystitis, often after sex, which then led to me developing vaginismus. So the pelvic floor muscles, they involuntarily tightened when we were having sex. And it was almost like a way, I think, of me protecting myself, because I'd be thinking, I'm going to be up all night with cystitis, or I'm going to be itching tomorrow on the ward with thrush. Mm-hmm. Nobody gave me any help, apart from eyeing the gusset of your knickers to kill the thrush bugs, which is quite useful. But,
Hang on, I have to say it for our Americans again.
Yeah.
Iron the gusset of your knickers actually means like iron the flat bit of they call them underpants.
Yeah, your underpants.
Whenever I talk about knickers, they're like, what are knickers?
Bit.
Like they don't understand what knickers or pants are.
That was my gynecologist. It's no longer my gynecologist. And nobody asked me about my sex life. They didn't even ask me what was I washing myself with them. This was before we had all these intimate washes and, intimate hygiene products. And nobody asked me about my sex life. And it wasn't until we set up Joe Divine and started using the lubricants ourselves, I realised that the symptoms had started to disappear. So that's why I'm absolutely obsessed about vaginas. I'm known as the lube queen. I'm known as the queen of vaginas. And it's like, because I never shut up about them, because these products actually will, do more harm than good. They'll exacerbate your symptoms, or they even mask symptoms, genital skin conditions that you need to see your GP about, that you need something maybe like topical steroids to treat it. And obviously often people with this vaginal dryness, they think they've got thrush. I think it's right that Laura has spoken about, and it's like, that's really common. People think they've got thrush. So now they can easily buy treatments over the counter and they're constantly self-treating and it's not actually going away and they don't actually have thrush. So that's the vaginal dryness and the vaginal lubricants, the vaginal moisturizers, and only wash with water. I can't tell you how many times I've said that to people. No one needs an intimate wash. These products, the intimate hygiene industry was created for a problem that never existed, our smelly vaginas. They're meant to have a certain smell. Obviously, if there's a fishy smell, then that could be that you've got bacterial vaginosis. But these products are actually destroying our friendly bacteria that protect our vaginas and keep them happy and healthy, keeps them lubricated, keeps it flexible, so you can carry on enjoying pleasurable sex and you're not going to get infections. So the intimate hygiene industry, I'm constantly talk about it, but bubble baths and bath bombs, I call those thrush bombs because they're just awful. But we've got perfume menstrual products, so you have to go around smelling the packets of your sanitary pads, and scented condoms. Why? Created by a female-led brand. Often these products are actually created by women. I'm going, why?
Because they've never suffered from any of the problems that you have, and so they're just out to make money.
And it is really common. Thrush is like something in the top 3 search terms on the internet. It's that common. So it's easy to get in that cycle of actually using your lube or your wash or whatever you're using. Then you get thrush, then you treat yourself with thrush, then it goes away, and then you go back to using your lube. And it's a vicious cycle, which it was for me. So I often find these women, I've stopped using that wash now. Actually, I've put that lube in the bin. Or actually, what that moisturizer the doctor prescribed, I've put it in the bin because, you told me it didn't have very good ingredients and it was causing irritation.
I always like to go to the deeper emotional issues and things when I do a lot on this podcast. And I think as I hear you talk about, all this, the scented condoms and the perfumes and I know people who use these things who have like sprays and talcum powders and all of these different things, and they're completely coating themselves. And I do believe that a lot of it comes from the belief, I hear some mothers talking to their children. My kids are slightly older now. I have 4 and they're 10, 12, 14 and 16. But whenever they were, little, I remember being around a lot of, moms who had younger kids and, and the amount of times, because we were punished for it as children. I would have heard, say a child would have, soiled himself or he would have pooed himself or whatever. And it would have been like, being punished for being dirty. That's dirty. That's smelly. That's bad. Even whenever your child, whenever your child will fart, and people are like, ooh, smelly, ooh. And they make such an issue of it. I'm like, farting is such a normal thing for a child to do. Like in my family, my husband thinks farting is hilarious. So he's trained all our children to come in, drop one and leave because it's funny. So, or play Dutch ovens. So in our house, everyone thinks farting is the funniest thing ever. But I hear, I think that the problem is a lot of this stems from us inadvertently. We have this, it seems like as human beings, we have this core belief that in somehow sex is dirty, because, obviously, poo or poop, as they call it in America, doesn't always smell good. It's bad. So there's something dirty about it, bad about it, smelly about it, that, sex is bad. It should be done, in the dark, and not talked about. And certainly don't ever let your children, like when my husband and I want to have sex, we go to our bedroom and we lock the door and the children come in and they knock on the door, and this could be 7 p.m. and they try the door, they realize it's not, they knock on it and we go, yes. And they say, they ask a question, we say, yeah, we're just busy, we'll be out later. They know exactly what we're doing. We don't try and hide it, and because we're like, sex is very normal. We love each other. It's something that, we want to normalize it for our children. But I know friends of mine are like, oh my God, I would never want my children to know I was having sex. And I'm like, why? Why not? Like, it shows that you've got a healthy, loving, relationship, and you're not then confined to in the dark, in the quiet, at night when everyone's asleep. You can have fun with it. You can have the sex toys. You can normalize it if you like. And I also want to talk to you a wee bit about, I'm getting far too excited talking about this. This is a bit of my alleyway. So I also want to talk to you a bit about, though, I love that you sell sex toys. There's two things I want to say. The first one is, I know that many people have like this stigma that, the sex industry is, it's like sex toys is like, it's on a line with pornography, it's like exploitation, it's pornography and all this kind of stuff. So they definitely have that and in their minds. But also the other thing I am so passionate about for women is, I'm like, your orgasm is your responsibility. It is not your husband's. There's so much pressure on men to give women an orgasm. Like, if I don't have an orgasm and I'm having sex with my husband, he goes, do you want your magic wand? And I'm like, yeah, pass it out there. Sometimes I'm like, do I not? Yeah, okay, pass it over, and I'll lie there and give myself an orgasm while he goes about this business. It's hilarious. And he's going to totally be like, I can't believe you're talking about this on your podcast. But he knows I talk about everything in the podcast. And so, what are your thoughts on normalizing women taking responsibility for their own sexual health and their orgasm?
Totally. As I've talked about having an intimate regime, you actually got to know your body. A lot of women have never even looked at their vulva. They have no idea what is normal, and then they're panicking and they're going, I don't know if that's, or they won't go to their GP to be checked as well, which is really, really important. And actually, if you don't actually know what works for you, how's a partner going to know that? Yeah. I had one lady say, she found it, she says, have you got a completely silent vibrator that I can use in bed when my husband's asleep? I said, and I said to her, well, they're not all silent, but I said, would it not be better to have a conversation with him? Oh, no, I couldn't do that. But a lot of women do buy their sex toys and they'll go off and use them in another room, or only use them when their partner's not around, or only use them in the bath. And there is still this myth that sex toys are looked down upon, men won't like it. Well, unless you're whipping out a 6-inch dildo, they're probably not going to really be bothered if you're just bringing out, a simple little.
In fact, I think they're probably going to quite like it. And
there always is. don't get me wrong. There are going to be men out there who don't want to use lubricant, and we do hear that. And I think, well, that's incredibly selfish.
Yes, I heard that too.
I think maybe the reasons is obviously there's still this macho thing of, well, as soon as you're touched, you're supposed to be instantly wet. And we know that's not the reason. I can be as aroused in anything, but still got to put on my suit heel before we start playing.
Can I tell you, I had a boyfriend like that years ago. So years and years ago, whenever I was in my early 20s, I had a boyfriend like that. And I used to have to like spit in my hand whenever he wasn't looking, spit in my hand, because he used to get really offended. And I'm like, what the? Now I would have been like, seriously, like I'm 43. But whenever you're in your early 20s, you're like, oh, why is he getting angry? He used to get like so angry because I don't know why, like it made him feel insecure or something that he couldn't.
It's again, I think maybe it goes back to pornography and perpetuating this myth that they're always wet, but we know the tricks of the trade. We know some porn actors and we know exactly what they all do, but a lot of people don't know. And also with my kids, they know that is acted sex and not real sex. And I do think this, and also there's women out there, sort of be really shocked if a partner whipped out a tube of lube. And we get that sometimes when I say, they're buying a toy and I go, we recommend, using a sexual lube. Don't need that. Why do you think I need that? It's almost like you're accusing them.
Right.
We just recommend it because we know that it can just enhance sex play. And quite frankly, I can feel really wet, but still use the lube. I never have sex without it. And I was talking to the other day, she says, even when I'm ovulating and I know I'm really wet, I still use the lube because it just makes sex feel even better.
Right.
And I think it's dispelling that myth and actually saying to these women, would you masturbate? The number of women I talk to who don't masturbate because
do you think they do and they don't admit it? Or do you think they genuinely don't?
Some people don't even know how to masturbate. I've had people sort of, when you're talking to them, they don't know what the clitoris is and they don't understand it. And somebody who didn't even know where to put their vibration. She was quite young. I can excuse some of my older customers. But,
the young ones.
I would like people to explore their bodies and try different ways to touch themselves, because then you can say to a partner, well, actually, I really like being touched like this, rather than them going in all guns blazing. And also, a partner might be with you, and what worked for their previous partner won't work for you. Mm-hmm. And also, we're talking about menopause, and if you're in a long-term relationship, things change. It's changed for me. I remember in mid-40s, definitely real dip in libido, wasn't engaged, wasn't even in the room really. I was thinking about packed lunches or did I turn off the tumble dryer, and Paul's going, are you? It was like, and I suddenly thought, oh, this is ridiculous. And then, felt a bit overweight. So just decided to, we'd try and exercise together and we'd lose weight. And then I gained a bit more body confidence back, but also I thought, oh God, I actually really like sex. And I discovered my G-spot actually at that time with one of our toys. And obviously I now know where it is, way back yonder.
Can we link to it in the show notes? I'm not even kidding, by the way.
But mine's way back yonder, so which is why I never discovered it. And now I know where it is, which is absolutely fantastic. But also trying different things as well. I hear women say, oh, I could never be on top. I go, no, that's my favourite position. I love being on top. It's like, and I think it's the whole hang up about people's bodies, obviously what you're doing, encouraging people to be healthy and to be the best they can be and feel good about themselves. And I just think it's really sad that, people put on a bit of weight and then they just don't want to actually have sex. And that impacts on their libido and, the way they feel about themselves. And also, let's face it, other partners let themselves go too. So it's
true.
And another thing that, I know we were talking about female pleasure. I always say to people, my regime is have an intimate regime, using really good products, only wash with water, get yourself a simple sex toy and have regular orgasms, because that's going to boost your intimate health, your vagina health. It's going to promote the lubrications. They feel great. They're free. You're not going to get pregnant. It's like You're not going to get an STI. They'll help you sleep. They'll reduce your stress. If you're still having periods, they'll reduce your period pain. They're just brilliant. They're just everything about having an orgasm just makes you feel so relaxed. But I was just talking about partners. We often have women come to us buying a sex toy because their partner has erectile problems in midlife. And it's never a conversation we ever hear or see about, read in the press. No. And yet it is really quite common. And often we always say to these women, well, so you've been to see the GP, because this is really important if he's got erectile problems, that there could be an underlying serious health issue like heart disease or diabetes or prostate health issues. Generally, it's often stress or a poor lifestyle, they're not actually
alcohol and
eating, smoking, not exercising, not eating very healthily. So again, that's a conversation that we have with a lot of people too. So I don't understand why anybody wouldn't be curious about their body. I know I trained as a nurse, so obviously I studied anatomy and physiology, but I've always been curious about my body. I masturbated probably from a very young age as a young girl, not knowing what it was. But I've always been curious. Why would you not? I've looked at myself. I've examined myself intimately. It's like I've looked at every bit of me. It's like, this is your body. Why would you not be curious about it?
Yeah, it's crazy. And, I think whenever you were talking about, erectile dysfunction and even the vaginal dryness and different things that we're discussing, I think that part of the problem is that we take it for granted. We think that, that because sex is something that happens pretty easily whenever you're younger and pretty quickly. And whenever you're, a young male, you have millions of testosterone. And whenever you're a young fertile female, you want to do it all the time. Whenever you first meet your partner. And then I think as you get older, I think, it's like, and I love bringing this back to menopause. I've only just made this kind of connection now, but in menopause, what I hear a lot with women is, I'm not doing anything differently. I'm doing exactly as I've always done, but yet I'm putting on belly fat and I'm putting on body fat and I'm not doing anything differently. Why is this happening to my body? I'm like, because your body is changing. And then I explain to them about how your body creates an insulin resistance to divert more calories into fat store because it's not ready to give up on estrogen yet, because your estrogen levels are dropping because you're not having menstrual cycles, which is also causing a progesterone estrogen imbalance, but whenever you're not ovulating. And so they're like, oh, wow, they're really curious. And I'm like, so here's the thing. Why would you not be committed to knowing your body better and knowing that things are going to change? Sexual health is not something that you're not going to be rampant forever, rampant and wet and lubed. It's like if you want to continue to have good sex, you may have to start just making some changes and accepting that your body changes. Would you say that's accurate?
Oh, totally. And also, we talk about vaginal dryness, vaginal tightness, and also decreased sexual sensation. So what used to work for you no longer works for you. Women often complain about the fact that it takes much longer to orgasm, or the orgasm doesn't feel as strong. And that's completely, very much to do with the estrogen levels. But also, for using a lube for the first time is something very new. And we love it when we hear people. We have one of those, we didn't get out of bed all weekend. It was like, my friend, and also my friend said, I think we're going to need a ground sheet. Cetyl Lux is very, very good. A little goes a long way. And I've never tried a lube like it before in my life, but yeah. But, and my friend said, oh, maybe you feel so young. It was like, but if you tube of lube can transform your intimate health and your sexual pleasure. Or thinking about the way in which you enjoy sex. You know, if you even bought yourself a simple sex toy, like the little bullet I showed, on your clitoris, on your nipples, up and down the shaft of the penis, you know, on a partner's clitoris. You know, there are so many ways you can actually use these products. But if you've got to talk to a partner, because often partners will think, well, they don't want to have sex, and they'll say, well, it's because sex is painful. Right. Okay, but there's something we can do about this. And as soon as sex is painful or it just doesn't feel the same, then they're not even kissing and cuddling. They've lost that intimacy. Because I hear a lot of them say, well, as soon as we have a cuddle, he'll think, well, I want to have sex. I'm going, well, you can say to him, I don't want to have sex, but let's kiss and cuddle, let's touch, let's have a massage. You never know, it might go somewhere, but I actually don't want to have sex, you know, but also, you know, it might lead to something the next time. Right. And it's little steps, but it's almost like, but also don't get me wrong, there are women out there who are happy to hit menopause. They don't ever want to have sex ever again, and that's perfectly fine. I'm helping the people who, you know, for them, sex has always been pretty good. Suddenly they get this vaginal dryness, vaginal atrophy, or tightness, or decreased sexual sensation, or they've lost their libido, and they're really, really sad. There's almost like grieving for their sex life. And I always sort of did a bit like that in my 40s when I was in my perimenopause, you know, but now I found the things that work for me. Then, you know, I know that I'm never not going to have sex without using Sutil Luxe. You know, I know that I use my local estrogen and my Vaginal Moisturizer. I've got my toys. Obviously, I've got a lovely supply of toys, which I can pick and choose from. But I have my favourites, you know. And as you were saying that, I might not have an orgasm during sex, and so, you know, I sort of might grab a toy, or sort of, you know, my husband said, okay, let's snuggle up, you know. And yes. It's actually because we actually communicate with each other now. And also, when I had vaginismus, sex was painful, and I will admit I had painful sex. I didn't tell Paul, and he was really upset when he found out. Right. He said, you know, and even now, sometimes he'll hesitate. I'll go, no, I'm fine. You know, because it's in his psyche. It was like, I don't want to hurt her. Yes. And also a lot of partners, you know, with a penis, they don't want to hurt you. So if you are tensing up or you're just not really in the room, then obviously they're not going to be interested. But obviously, you know, men experience low libido and low testosterone and, you know, sort of midlife slump and things like that. So, you know, it's about trying different things. And sort of someday I think she's got totally into bondage now. She'd never tried anything, but I love being tied up, she said. It was like, great. Whatever floats your boat. Exactly. And it's trying, there's different things. And some people do actually have like a testosterone surge as such. They have this libido surge, you know, it's almost like they go through menopause, and then because they discover what works for them, you know, they're really enjoying it. I mean, we obviously advise a lot of people in new relationships, and they might go to have sex and it's painful. So they're buying a sex toy with a lubricant because they want to have sex with their new partner. That's a big issue as well, because we know that STIs and HIV is rising in the over 50s. And I think for the first time, they've actually seen that more people are being diagnosed with HIV who are heterosexual, and certainly people who are sort of over, I think it was 65. So I will say to people, you know, I say, we're in a new relationship, that's great. I said, are you using condoms? Oh, no, because I can't get pregnant. Yeah, but you can still get an STI. So again, that's another thing that we have to be educating people about in midlife as well. But we do have to remember in menopause, there's a lot of younger women going through menopause for whatever reason. You know, we have a lot of women with premature ovarian insufficiency, early menopause, they've gone through cancer treatments. So we need to be talking to this group of women as well. I work with, you know, they're just amazing, these women. They've gone through all sorts of things, but still want to enjoy pleasurable sex. So, you know, we need to be making sure that we're talking to them. And a lot of those young, they're not able to take hormone replacement therapy or use local estrogen. So they are relying upon good lubricants and a good vaginal moisturizer and sex toys. So, you know, this is really, really important that we talk to those people as well. So, you know, because they could be in their 20s and 30s and, you know, they're going through menopause. So which is hard enough when you're in your 20s and 30s, because it's kind of confusing. It's like, is my body let me down? Am I, you know, I think, you know, it's funny. I'm all about encouraging people in general to just accept the what is, rather than fighting it with some kind of preconceived notion of it should be this way or it should be this way or why is this happening to me? I'm like, you know, sometimes understanding, like I'm a big one and I love to understand why things are happening, but sometimes you just have to accept that you don't know why they're happening, but they're happening, and you can't do what you've always done and expect to get what you've always got. Sometimes you have to change. Sometimes you have to open up, branch out, have better conversations. And the more women start talking about things like this, like the better. I have a podcast interview called, and it teaches how to turn on your transverse abdominis muscles whenever it's about alleviating back pain and squatting. And I have this technique that I used to teach when I
I taught yoga, which is about, I used to say to women, imagine, I want to turn on your TVA. I want you to imagine that you are sucking a smoothie through a straw using your vagina. And women were like, and I told this whole story in it about how, after I had 4 children, I used to like put in like a Super Plus tampon when I went to yoga class because, they're in some positions, you put your air, they sweep your leg into the air and open your hip. And the next thing, there's a sharp intake of air and what goes in must come out.
Yeah.
And so there was one this time and I jumped to the top of the yoga mat. Anyone listening to this who's listened to it will know, because honestly, people have actually said to me they have almost fallen off the treadmill, like snorting and laughing and bent double listening to it, because I jumped to the top of the yoga mat and let out this massive fanny fart. Although in America, your fanny is actually your tushy, so like a vagina fart basically. And I just talked about it, and I talked about how to turn it on. But even whenever I do that, people are like, oh my God, she said vagina. It's like, and I'm like, vagina. Like, let's just normalize saying it. It's like finger, it's like I love that you're doing this, because I just think that it's so important for women to just get over the stigma that, is kind of left over, and generationally it is changing. I think with the advent of OnlyFans and porn available online, like if you Google vagina on, if you put in the word vagina on Google, you will get loads of pornographic pictures as well as medical pictures. It is, that would never have happened years ago. It was all top shelf magazines and it was all, taboo and not talked about. Slowly the narrative is changing, but I definitely think that certainly for women of our age, women going through menopause, women who are experiencing changes in their bodies, I think we absolutely have to normalize taking back control of your sexual health, taking back control of your vagina. I am definitely going to start moisturizing, although I do use coconut oil. Is coconut oil any good, Emma?
Well, coconut oil is a bit like Marmite. So some people love it and some people hate it. The important thing about coconut oil, firstly, it can cause thrush because it can block the pores. But you need to make sure it's 100% pure, that it's organic, that it's in a tube, not a pot, so you're not contaminating it by dipping your fingers in the pot all the time.
Good point.
And also that it's been ethically farmed by monkeys on a chain.
Yeah.
But some people love it. I mean, I wouldn't use it because I have a history. I know that I've been prone to thrush in the past. And obviously I've got a vaginal moisturizer and lubes that work for me, and they work really well.
You're all lubed up. You're like, I have a selection.
But this is, if I can get across to people that, you have to check the ingredients and don't believe the celebrity and don't believe that Instagram doctor who's promoting that wash.
No.
It's like, and that TV celebrity, because, and actually you often find that some of these people have never even used these products, and it's really, really frustrating. And, they're well-known brands that are widely available. And I get so annoyed when I see.
Does one begin with a K and end with a Y?
They are well-known brands that are widely available. Even on the high street, we've got whole stands dedicated to menopause with your washes and your lubes and your pads at the bottom. Obviously, we always have to have our incontinence pads. Well, can we tell people about pelvic floor, physiotherapy? Because that's really, really important. You need to be looking after your pelvic floor and exercising it. And these things that are there, and the products, that nonsensical products, are going, well, why on earth would you want to put that anywhere near your vagina? It's like,
would you put it in your mouth?
Well, that's why I say to people, I said, your mouth is one of the most highly absorbent parts of the body, and then your vagina. I cannot get across to people, and they'll go, oh, no, but that lubricant, it's not, because it's not a £2 tube of lube off the counter in the sex toy shop. No, it's actually a really nice tube of lube that actually has got really good ingredients in it. You're only going to have to use a small amount because it interacts with your own body's natural lubrication. Anyway, how much are you spending on that? Or how much is your pot of face moisturizer? Now, if you equate that, you say to people, if you're spending that on your face and your hair, then why are you not spending it on your intimate health? I don't understand it. It's always the last thing. We hear terrible things, Vaseline, olive oil, baby oil, cooking oil, bio oil, hand cream, Sudocrem, that you put on your baby's nappy patch. It's not even slippy. And I think people think if it's slippy, then it's fine to use as lube. And it's like, no, it's not. These products were never designed for intimate use, and they are going to destroy your friendly bacteria that you need.
Right.
So, and condoms, latex condoms, anything that's oil-based is going to destroy a latex condom. So, it's really important that people don't just reach for the nearest thing, that's sort of on the bedside table. But once you get people thought into it. But, once you get people into this and they start to say, oh, God, yeah, I do get irritation. Oh, yeah, I do get thrush. Yeah, I've started to get, I've had the occasional UTI, as I've hit perimenopause. You're going, well, it's to do with the whole genitourinary system, which is why you need local estrogen really helps because that benefits your bladder and your urethra, but your vulva and your vagina, keeps all the tissues happy and healthy. But it's the same with the vaginal moisturizer and the lube. Because these ingredients get up inside the urethra and can cause irritation too. Mm-hmm. So, this is why I constantly, as my kids said, oh God, she's talking about vaginas.
They are so lucky to have you as a mother, honestly, because I bet you they're just, because it's like, eating, learning, and sex are the three things that stimulate the pleasure centers of the brain. Eating, learning, and sex. That's why people love podcasts, because they're stimulating and as long as they're educational. And that's why people love sex, because, it's stimulating, and it's the same as eating, it's pleasurable to eat, so sex is actually one of the things that stimulates the three pleasure centers of the brain. It's extremely important for human evolution. And I think that in order to, we should be educating our children we should be talking about sex in front of them. We should be talking about, sexual health in front of them. We should be teaching our daughters about how to take care of their vagina, and that it's a very normal part of your body and it is responsible. Listen, you know what? As a friend of mine said to me recently, she said, have you ever thought about the fact that we are brought up to believe that sex is bad? But we as human beings are product of sexual intercourse. So therefore, we must intrinsically, in some way, believe that we are bad. And I was like, well, I'm Irish and it's a very Catholic country. So you're just brought up to believe that you're bad. Well, I'm not actually Catholic, I'm Protestant, but definitely in Catholicism, it's like you are a sinner and you are, guilty all the time of being a sinner, and you have to kind of always repent and whatever. So we are brought up with this intrinsic belief that we are bad. But that was always very interesting to me whenever I thought about that, because it is one of the most normal things that is responsible for human procreation, but yet we have made it this bad and dirty and taboo subject that should not be talked about. And I definitely think that women of our age and our generation need to be more open with these kinds of conversations. We need to be more open with our sexual health. And I absolutely applaud what you're doing. I think it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And you can come to a dinner party at my house anytime. And bring your suitcase with you. I would totally be.
Well, that's another thing you say. You take the suitcase on the tube, and then the toys go up. And then we had some chap, he actually rested his bag on top of my suitcase, and I said to him, "It's vibrating."
Oh my God!
The bag in a pub or something. But yeah, I've had toys go off or fall out of my pocket or something. Or sort of, But I often have lube and thing in my pocket, and I'm giving it out at various events. And would you like some lube?
Would you like some lube? We were actually, I was at a dinner once. I had a tube of, we were out for a dinner for my birthday, and there was a friend of mine who had shared a birthday. And she was they were a fairly new friends as a couple to us. And we went out for kind of a joint birthday dinner with some other friends. And Yvette had messaged me beforehand. She was like, Kim, I think I have hemorrhoids. She had just had a baby. Isabel, I think was maybe 3 months old. She was like, I think I have a hemorrhoid. I was like, yeah, you probably do. I was like, I will bring you some cream. And she was like, is this normal? I was like, completely normal. I get them all the time. So I put a tube of hemorrhoid cream in my pocket to give to her or in my bag it was whenever, and so we were sitting at the dinner table in this very posh restaurant, and I took out my bag to get something out of my bag, and I pulled my phone out, and the tube of hemorrhoid cream spun out of my bag and landed on the middle of the floor. And I went to grab it, and the waiter came over and he was like, oh, and he picked up and he went, here you are, madam. And I went, oh, thank you. That's my lip balm. And I just popped it back in my bag. And my husband was bent double on the floor. He was like, that's your lip balm, Kim? And I was like, well, what the fuck else am I going to say to this bloody waiter? Fuck's sake, is my tube of hemorrhoid cream. And the poor man's probably having a hard enough night without hearing about my hemorrhoids. But, again, I talk to women all the time about that. And I say, oh, do you ever have, or I'll go, I messaged my assistant the other week. I was like, okay, so on your way to work, can you please go to the chemist and pick me up a tube of hemorrhoid Anusol, tube of hemorrhoid cream, and and something for cystitis. And she was like, yeah, no problem at all. And I was like, welcome to the world of a perimenopausal woman. She was like, don't worry, I've been asked for much worse. This is whenever she just first started with me. And then, people were like, you asked your assistant to get you hemorrhoid cream? I'm like, I can't help that I have hemorrhoids. I have 4 children. They just appeared. It wasn't something I did wrong. And so, and they're sore and itchy and they need cream whenever they pop up. So I don't know. I just love what you're doing. I just think it's absolutely wonderful. You were on television as well with Davina McCall. She's not very well known in the USA, but over here in the UK, she's certainly a big menopause advocate.
Brilliant. So I got contacted by Kate Muir, who's written everything about the menopause. Her book's just come out. And then I got asked, about this program, and it wasn't going to be a Davina originally. And then they said, oh, it's Davina. But she lives in the town where we live. So she just toddled along, in the midst of lockdown. We had a very small camera crew. It was just very strange. Plonks us out down on the settee and said, right, we want this in it, which was the big toy, which we knew that she probably would. And laid out, said, yeah, that's great. No, I want to use this. We chatted for such a long time. Obviously, what made it to camera to air was a small amount. But it was transformative in the fact that we've had celebrities talking about menopause, but not in the way that she did. And actually, she's really taking it to heart now. The fact is that, she was responding to people on Twitter and she was giving all this advice. And, she was just so happy to talk about. For us as a sex toy company, we were overwhelmed with orders because we're an independent retailer, just a husband and wife team. And it was fantastic with the conversations we had with people. It wasn't just about menopause. It was just about so much more. But it has transformed menopause care in the UK. And we are slowly getting there. It sort of led to free training by the menopause charity that I work with. We are now going to get our local estrogen, over the counter, depends on how much it's going to be. But, we're going to get, and then we're going to pay one prescription charge for HRT and local estrogen. And that was always in Parliament Square. And it was getting the conversation going. There is going to be another program then, because obviously that was very focused on HRT and local estrogen. And obviously not everybody wants to take it, is able to take it, wants to take it, it's not suitable for them. And that's going to look at lifestyle, workplace, because obviously a lot of women in the workplace are leaving their jobs and we can't afford for them to leave their jobs, certainly in sort of the nursing profession and the teaching profession, and women are at the top of their careers and they shouldn't have to leave their job because there is no support, but also diet, exercise, mental health issues, partners. And I think that is going to be really good. It's got this conversation. I mean, I feel like I do live in this menopause bubble because I am in menopause, and but also I do lots of other things as well. But I think, well, why don't these people know these things? And Paul's going, because you're in a bubble. They're not in your bubble. He said, and they're just learning stuff now. And also the other thing about menopause, you talked about it, it's on trend, it's ka-ching. Yeah. And it's trying to sort out the wheat from the chaff. It was like with our products, we're really passionate about what we do, but we've always done this, before I hit menopause, and before I started talking about it and got on telly for a little while. And there's so much stuff out there that people don't need, and some of it could be potentially harmful, but also some of it you just don't need. It's just not effective, and it's actually trying to work out what you need and what's going to work for you, because what works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. And as you were saying, with doing what you do, it's actually finding something that works for you, that you can stick with, that you're passionate about, and that's actually going to work for you. So it's finding all those things. But there's some fascinating people out there doing some amazing things, and I've met some really, really interesting people, amazing women who've had amazing backgrounds, and now they've sort of like had a second career, or sort of this second wind, and it's just brilliant. So
I love it. My mum always said, because I was talking to her about her menopause, and I don't really remember her going through it. I remember her getting hot flushes, but she was just said, Kim, it wasn't, she talked about, she said, my mum never discussed menopause with me. It was, the change of life. She's going through the change of life. It was all very hush hush. It was like something dirty and bad that happened to you. And, I think obviously that narrative is changing, and, women like you are at the forefront of changing it, which is wonderful. Sam, what I would love for you to tell my listeners, I cannot believe we've been talking for a full hour. I could talk to you all night. What I would love to know for my listeners is, where can they find you? Do you have like an Instagram or a Facebook page or somewhere where they could, reach out to you personally? And also tell us about, we're going to link to everything in the show notes, but tell us about where they can find your blogs, your articles, your website. Give us the lowdown. So
the website is joedivine.com.
Joe Divine, so JODEVDIVINE. DIVINE, divine, as in divine comedies. Yeah.
Yes. And basically, but just to let people know that because it's an adult site, it will be, it may be blocked on some internet providers because they automatically put adult filters in place, so you can get those removed. But also it's got hundreds of articles on it. It's got all the products on there, and it tells you about it. And you can order online, you can order via post. We still get checks and postal orders. You can give us a call. But I'm available on Instagram and Twitter at SamTalksX, and I'm always happy to give advice on, by DM, and often I will send you a link to an article. And also we've got Joe Divine UK on Twitter, and it's joe.divine on Instagram. I'm always happy to give people advice on the phone. If you want to send me an email, emails are only read by me and Paul. No one else reads them. And if I'm not around, then somebody will take a message and I will get back to you, or you can call me at a different time. But, there's no reason why people have to give up on their sex life. This is so important. And again, not that many people are talking about sex and menopause. They say they are, but they're not, because they're not talking about it in a way that I am. People will come and say, well, I want to buy this toy. And I'll go, well, actually, this toy is probably better. It might be a cheaper toy, more suitable for your needs. When people come to you, I often think, I said, are you looking for it for a reason? And then you realise, and this conversation opens up, and they've got menopausal issues. But obviously I work with a lot of healthcare professionals now within the menopause world, and they send their patients to us. They say, oh, I know a lady who'll talk to you about your vagina. So it's and
the vagina whisperer. That's what we should call you.
I'm able to, I work with brilliant pelvic health physios and psychosexual therapists and genital dermatologists and fantastic cancer charities and menopause support groups. But also I can say to somebody, well, actually, pelvic health physio, actually, there's somebody in the town where you live. So it's like, you're happy, you can be, I'll send you the details. And for me, it's a holistic approach. And it's not just the fact of buying your tube of lube and your vaginal moisturizer and your sex toy. There are other things, your pelvic floor physio, like an exercise class. It's all those things to help people, and saying, there's a really good nutritionist here, or, this person's doing, or this book's really good. So for me, it's actually offering the whole holistic approach to menopause. But actually, this is a really important part of it. And, I'm probably one of the few people who probably talk about it in the frank and honest manner that I do, which
is very important. I think it makes people feel more comfortable whenever you're not like, well, let's have a conversation, or well, just step into my office and we'll discuss. It's like, no, like you're just willing to
vagina.
Just like willing to talk about it. I think that's wonderful, and I think that is what's needed. I think that it makes it much more accessible. I have one more question, actually, too. One, you don't ship to the USA currently; it's just in the
UK?
UK?
Not at the moment. No, we're looking into it, and unfortunately, we've had to stop shipping to Europe as well. So frustrating.
I know, because of Brexit.
Yes,
probably. Yeah.
No, it is Brexit. So that's really frustrating. And we are looking into that, because I was building a really lovely menopause community in Ireland. So that is frustrating, but we are looking into that at the moment. So we're trying to get our head around it. We do get a lot of traffic onto the website from America, and we do get inquiries as well. But some of these
might be worth looking into. We do a lot of work with different companies, protein companies, and they all ship to America. So especially if you have like an order over $100 or whatever, they do free shipping.
It is that. It's actually, just Paul getting his head around of actually doing it.
I definitely don't think it's difficult. And then the other thing is, I used to live in Tunbridge.
Did you?
I used to ride horses there. Yeah, now 20 years ago. So I worked for a show jumper. He lives in Tunbridge. I don't know whether he still lives there now, but so that was kind of my local area for a while. So I felt like
I keep it quite low key in Tunbridge Wells, because people haven't been that friendly in the past. But frankly, I don't really do stuff on my own turf, really.
Yeah. So. Do you not find as well, whenever you trade online too? Like I go from my office here to my house, and then I go to my yard where my horses are, and then I go to the office. And I don't really go. I don't really. And the people will tell me things, and I'll be like, oh no, they go, did you hear about such and such? I'm like, no, I just stay in my own wee bubble. I just like work away, keep my head down, ride my horses, run my business, talk about sex and vaginas. And I don't really pay attention to what's happening out there an awful lot. So I think that we have that luxury whenever we have online businesses as well.
And it's also, people say to you that they don't believe what you do. Yes. What are you talking about? You don't really do. Yes, this is what I do.
Yes. It must make you quite interesting at a dinner party, though. I'm sure people are like, well, what do you do, Sam?
Well, we don't get invited to dinner parties.
You need to come to Ireland. I'll invite you to a dinner party at my house. I'd be delighted to parade you around.
But no, it is, it opens up a conversation, and it's actually quite nice, because we have a laugh about it, and that's the most important. It's meant to be fun, so for me, it's actually saying to me, then often I'll have a little packet of, do you want some lube? I went to a talk at Lloyd's of London, and it was about prostate cancer, and the chap there said, I've got lubes, and then all of them were having this lube. It was absolutely brilliant.
Oh my God, that is brilliant.
Posh, building in London.
They would come home and their wives would be like, where did you get that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, one chap said, I'll take that for my mistress. I said, okay.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Love it. Sam, you have been an absolute joy to have on the podcast. Thank you so much. Have we invited you to speak in our menopause group as well yet?
I have, yes. Laura's contacted me. So.
Wonderful. And is that something that you'd be happy to do?
We agreed to. I think we've even got a date penciled in.
Yes, that's what you'll love, Laura. Like, Laura is too young to be in menopause, but it's interesting. She's so passionate about women and helping women, and she has a whole menopause qualification or several qualifications, and she just is passionate about that. Really passionate about that area. It's actually her who kind of started pioneering the whole menopause movement within the Sculpted Vegan. So we're very happy that she did. So I'm excited to watch that one as well. That's a group that is growing day by day by day, because we're bringing in some phenomenal experts to do Q&As and really giving women like real help. So I'm excited for that to happen as well. Sam, I could talk to you all day, but I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. If anybody's interested in contacting Sam and finding out more about what she does, or just having conversation and reading some of her amazing articles, simply go to the show notes below this, wherever you're listening to it, whether it is on Spotify or iTunes or on the Sculpted Vegan website. You can link in the show notes to everything she talked about today. And we'll also link to some of your products as well. And Sam, I hope to catch up with you in future. I would love it if we would stay friends.
Okay, that's all. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been so much fun talking about my favourite topic.
Oh, I love it. And you're very, very, very good at talking about it, I have to say. Okay, Sam, I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you.
Okay, bye now.